Same.
No.
It's the Homeless Left with Matt Weinglass and co-host Jay Scott
Episode 182. It's Hell on Earth.
with special guests Garland Nixon and an all-new top censored news of the week. And here's your host, Matt Weinglass.
Here we go. All right, guys. Welcome to the Homeless Left. I'm your host, Matt Weinglass. This is the non-tribal approach to news. We're so happy to have everybody here with us today. We got a great show planned for you. We're calling it It's Hell on Earth, and it has felt like that. But for more than one reason, there's a diabolical plan happening right now. And we know Trump is just one little tiny piece of it. We got the technocrat class, we got the Zionist class, the Epstein class, the pedophile, psychopath, warmongers, imperialists. The list goes on. But these are the people controlling the world, controlling the narrative, and controlling all of our institutions. And we learn more about this as every day goes by, and we can't unsee what is behind that curtain. When we see it, it's impossible to put it back the way it was and go back the way everything was, all nice and peachy. No, we can't do that anymore. We're not able to do that. It's not even though that we don't want to. We can't if we even tried. So from this point on, we are in the business of uncovering what's been kept from us. Lying and deceiving is not just about telling us mistruths. It's about what's been concealed. Concealing truth is sometimes actually worse than lying, because when you are unable to have access to information, you cannot make a determination about what you're dealing with and how to respond to it if you don't have the information. And that's what censorship is about. This is what we deal with in this space. Censorship every day. And we talk about it. You hear it all the time. You hear people complaining about it on different levels in different ways. But ultimately, that is the form of narrative control. The most effective form of narrative control is the censorship machine, the censorship industrial complex. And the more we fight and the louder we are and the more conversations we try to have, what happens? They double down, triple down, quadruple down on us even harder. And it's not so obvious when they do it, right? It's not the obvious. Sometimes it is, right? We get the email from Google, from YouTube. They say, your conversations are too dangerous. We've had to pull the plug on your channel. And they did that. And that's the obvious one. That's the one you go, what the F? What the F are you terminating people's channels when you're trying to have conversations? So what did we do? Well, we obviously, complained and did the whole appeals, all that stuff. At the end of the day, we knew they weren't going to give us a channel back. So what do? We started a new one. This is the channel. It seems to be working. It's insane because we're getting all sorts of like roller coaster waves of people, but you guys are finding us somehow. It's not the Homeless Left. The Homeless Left's gone on YouTube. We are not allowed to have conversations on YouTube under this, right? So when you see this banner, you go, well, we're still doing it. We're just calling it THL Presents. On Rumble, of course, the homeless left, they have not taken us down. And that's great. We give them thank you, Rumble. Thank you, Tech Bros. Thank you, Peter Thiel. Thank you, JD Vance, for not unplugging us. But this is the type of censorship we're talking about when we say shadow banning. Also, surveillance, right? Surveillance and shadow banning. So they keep you plugged in, but they keep tabs on you nonetheless, and they suppress the things you're trying to communicate, and then people don't see you. They don't see it on their feed. You don't get notifications when we go live. All those things start to happen, right? And those are the harder things to detect. So it just means that we have to do better at what we're doing and understand that what you guys are doing. And thank you for joining us today. By the way, Do Dissidents, Rumble Raid, we saw you guys right up top. We hope you stuck around because we were doing the countdown earlier. So thank you for being part of what we're doing. We love Keaton and Russ a lot. You guys are awesome. And just understand that it takes a village, right? It takes a village to do what we're doing. And so what we're doing here on the Homeless Left, we're part of a community. We're not part of a tribe. And I know you guys know that if you watch Do Dissidents, you watch these other shows as well. We're not part of a tribe. We don't hero worship, obviously, right? We're not in that business. We learned long ago with Bernie not to hero worship. We're seeing the Trump people falling for that in real time. It's pretty sad because they accuse the Democrats, right, of tribalism and they can do no wrong. And then here you are, not allowed to critique your hero, right? But it's more than that. It's more than not having a hero to worship. It's also understanding how we treat each other. We're allowed to ask questions. We're allowed to disagree. We're allowed to hold people accountable and challenge them without being scolded, without being told, you shut up, get in line. We have to beat the other guy. That's the other part of it. The tribe is going against another tribe. Community doesn't go against another community. And that's why we welcome everyone from other communities. We say, hey, welcome one and all. We don't have a check box for you. You have to check to get in the door. We don't kick you out if we disagree on something. And the goal is not to beat the other team. What is the goal? If it's not to win, because you don't want to lose, then what could the goal be? I don't know. I thought everything was winning and losing. That's what win, right? Donald Trump, Charlie Sheen, win. Winning. No. What is the goal? What is the goal of humanity? The ability to live a decent life, the pursuit of happiness, to seek truth, to seek justice, to seek clarity, transparency, and love in life. All of that, which you can't do if you are stuck in team mindset, tribalism mindset. So we're not going to do that anymore. Election time, we got to win. No. It's time to be heard. Our voices need to be loud. You can choose to stay home and boycott elections, or you can go third party, go independent, challenge the uniparty, challenge the two-party duopoly. There's many ways to do it. We support all those ways. If you find yourself back in a red or a blue, our sympathies go out to you. Our condolences. Do what you got to do. But again, you don't have to check boxes to be here with us on the Homeless Left, a non-tribal approach to news, but it's also a non-tribal approach to life. Okay. With that said, I just want to make sure we're all set here. And I told you guys what we're talking about today. It's hell on earth. There's an AI problem. We're going to actually be bringing in GARLAND NIXON at the top of the hour. We have our co-host Jay Scott also coming in. Got a lot of stuff we're going to get in today. Technocrat takeover of AI churches. We have the U.S. Senate voting against stopping arms sales to Nazi Germany. I'm sorry, I mean Israel. I mix those two up sometimes. We also have an Israeli flag has been rebranded with a swastika. We're going to get into that one too. And some more 6G stuff. We have tax day. Tax day just happened. So, Mamdani, we're going to look at that story with the taxing the rich out in New York, plus economic collapse everywhere. And we're going to look at where we're at as Americans and just people of the world, how we are going to be able to function. We're going to get into that with Jay later. And we have a loudest voice of the week for you as well. We're going to follow up on the Trump taking on the Candace and Tucker and Alex Jones. So we're going to get into that later in the show as well. Okay. And of course, the Iran war. There's always updates. We're looking for breaking news as we go through the show, so you guys can know that we're up to date as best we can as we go through the afternoon with you. Okay. I think that about covers it. I'm just making sure all of our stuff is ready and going. Yes, indeed. Okay. So YouTube's looking, guys. If you found us on YouTube, just know that they are screwing with us. They're screwing with us again. We see it. We see it happening. We had 118,000 people watching 2 weeks ago. Went down to 6,000. Went back up to 45,000. Down to 1,000. We don't know what the hell's going on. But if you're on there, please don't just like and subscribe is awesome. If you guys can subscribe and Rumble as well, please hit the subscribe button. It's more important than the like. Also, if you throw a comment in, that's also very cool because that also helps fight the algorithm and it makes it more likely for others to see us on their feed, and they're expecting to see us on their feed, especially our subscribers. And you guys know that, like, you want to see the channels you subscribe to show up on your feed when they're live. So that helps when you guys throw comments in, and we're going to be responding to your comments later in the show, talking back. We're going to be including you in the conversation, because that's the last thing I want to mention before we start the show here officially. I want to say this: what we're attempting to do here is merge the two things that are important to us, which are what? Challenging the oligarchy as we challenge. We're basically an anti-establishment network, so we challenge the state narratives and the establishment narratives, and we seek to uncover what's really happening. It doesn't stop there. It's not just about calling out the problem. The other part of that is the action, the activity that happens after calling out the action or during the attempt to call out the problem, right? So you call out the problem. What's the solution? We look for solutions, and we want you to feel part of those solutions, and that you can also be effective in your engagement, your conversations with people. So we give you guys those tools along the way, so we can all be proactive and incorporate activism into the fight against the psychopath, pedo class, warmongering nut jobs that want to control all of us. But we're ready to fight. Let's get fighting. It's time for the way we like to start off Thursday's show. And we're here Tuesdays and Thursdays, so you guys know, Tuesdays and Thursdays every week, all afternoon. What we like to start off Thursday's show with generally, well, yeah, we're going to give you guys some top censored news of the week. Let me make sure we're set up, and we'll get right to that. Here we go. Almost got it. Okay. Here we go. Top censored news of the week. Got a little intro for you guys, and let's do it. Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week. It's Top Censored News of the Week. We're bringing you the stories the mainstream media just refuses to cover. If they do cover them, they always do it in a very dishonest or sloppy way. And it's always on purpose. We'll get to the 3 top stories this week that were dishonestly given to you, or you might not even have heard it, that it even happened, but that was by design. Okay, top 3 stories. Here we go. Coming in at number 3, Trump's order to accelerate 6G deployment is moving forward as campaign to halt 5G tech due to health impacts intensify. Let's look at Trump's recent rambling about 6G, because it's kind of reminding us a little bit of the Operation Warp Speed stuff, right? Let's hear him, because he loves to take credit for stuff that he was supposed to be fighting against. Here it is.
So we're into 6G now. I just 5G. I was a leader on 5G, getting that done, and now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect it is? I like the cameras the old days. So they just had a nice feature. Now they cover every little. Let's see, Michael, you're in good shape. You're not gonna. But I tell you, it's the 6 is coming, huh?
6 is coming. Operation Warp Speed 2. Got to get the 6G, and the quicker you can get the 6G. What does that mean? That means we can get the 7G going. What? There's 7G. Yeah, we'll get to that part. But let's see what's happening here because there's absolutely health concerns about 5G. And he did run on this a little bit. It wasn't at the top of the list. But again, this is him saying, I was the greatest. I was the greatest. I got that shit out so fast. You guys wouldn't believe it. Just like Operation Warp Speed with the jibbity jab. Okay, so this is what's happening from Nicholas Holscher. He does some great work in the medical freedom community and in this area because it's kind of connected. So Trump recently signed an order to accelerate 6G deployment despite hundreds of studies linking 5G to DNA damage, oxidative stress, neurological injury, and cancer. The multi-trillion-dollar cellular industry does not care about your health. What? They don't? Huh? I thought they cared about us. That's quite a statement. Why would they not care about us? Well, let's look at all the problems. And he lists them right here. I mean, this is incredible. I'm not going to read them all here, but my God, these are all documented adverse biological effects of 5G span. The entire catalog. It's not quite as long as the Pfizer side effects. Those are massively amount. I think it was like 70 pages the vaccine injury stuff. But this is enough to say, what the hell are we doing with 6G when we're having a problem with this? Well, once you understand that it's not about our safety and it's more about our control, then they actually are right on point. Let's hear him break it down for you guys about some of these ailments.
Remember, they're rolling out 6G now. Trump just signed an order to accelerate the deployment of 6G. This is going to interface with biological implants, it says in the order. So these are brain chips that will interact with 6G and artificial intelligence. There was a recent systematic review paper that came out looking at the biological effects of 5G wavelengths, 5G frequencies. It changes the function of the cell. It changes the gene expression of the cell, so the cells start to act differently. It can cause DNA damage in these animals. It can cause tumor growth in these experiments. It causes neurological changes, biochemical changes. So the proteins being produced in these animals are changing when they're exposed to this. And, again, we can just keep going down the list.
So, again, if you're in the mindset that they're looking out for our safety, you're probably very confused or you're probably not believing any of this. It is very similar to the vax stuff, right? If you're all in on it and you got a bunch of them, you don't actually want to look at this stuff. But if you do believe this is true, which it's all documented, then you probably are wondering, well, why wouldn't Trump just halt this, right? Why wouldn't he why is he doing yet another Operation Warp Speed? What is going on here? Here's a Nokia, right? One of the companies that cares about our health. Well, they're going to tell us, the CEO is going to tell us what to expect next, because it doesn't stop at 6G, guys.
We're into 6G now. I just finished 5G. I was a leader on 5G getting that done. And now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect it is?
I think we pulled the wrong clip on that. So basically what happened, I'll paraphrase it here. And you know what? We'll just edit it into post. So what he's saying is that it doesn't stop here at the 6G element. 7G is going to go to a whole nother element of controlling us through our neurological system, through our brain activity, through all of our our entire human body. We're going to be having these things that we're not going to be able to detect on our own. But it's going to continue at this pace. Let me give you guys one more breakdown about this, because it also has something to do with, if you guys have looked up in the sky, and we've covered this on the show, if you guys looked up in the sky more and more often, especially in the last couple of years, you're seeing more and more of these condensation trails in the sky, which we know what they really are, but they would tell us it's just from, the planes. Nothing to see here. There might be a correlation between these chemtrails and this 5G, 6G, and eventually 7G technology.
So the technological singularity has to do primarily with the technology of the 5G towers, which have been upgraded to 6G terahertz, which is 1,000 times more powerful than 5G waves. We now have millimeter waves under 6G terahertz. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Then we have NATO airplanes dumping smart dust particulates, biosensors full of graphene, aluminum, titanium, lithium, strontium, barium, etc., arsenic poison, probably. Anyway, they've been dumping that like every 10 minutes, 16 hours a day, everywhere in the world for 2 years now. And previously, they were dumping it at a slower pace. That's 7G technology. In other words, it's still the 6G terahertz electronic energy, but now that energy is bouncing off all the air pollution, all the particulates in the sky. And it's bouncing off all the bunny rabbits and squirrels and birds and bees. The bees are all augmented now with the smart dust. All the humans are out there running and cycling and getting out and hiking up Half Dome in Yosemite Park and going to see what's left of Glacier National Park. There are no glaciers in Glacier National Park. If you didn't know, it's Glacier National Park minus the glaciers. But if you're out there getting exercise and feeling good about yourself, just know you're polluting the heck out of your skin, your eyes, your breathable air, your lungs are ingesting all of these nanoparticulates, which include biosensors, which hook you up to the cloud, which hook you up to each other and turn you into a human antenna. And God forbid, if you're vaccinated and boosted, or you get a flu shot, or you go to the dentist a lot and get lidocaine injections, you are aglow. You are aglow with radio frequency.
And there it is. And we've been warning you guys about that as well. But back to the Trump part of the story, because that's really the important part, that you still have this notion, and we saw the comments about the 6D chess, 6G and 6D. That's funny. 6D and 6G. So the 6D chess mindset, you're still convinced that Trump's working on fighting these things. Just add this to the list of all the other things. He's doing the exact opposite of fighting. He's protecting it, and he's bragging about pushing it forward, whether it's mRNA technology, the chemtrails themselves. You're talking about the Epstein files. You're talking about the peace president with more and more war, more and more occupation, more and more stealing people's shit and murdering people all over the world. So it's the opposite, right? So none of this stuff, it's only going to keep amplifying. As we look up in the sky, we're going to see more and more of these things, and we just have to take precaution for ourselves about how we're going to protect ourselves, because nobody's going to go fight for us in any position of power. We have to do it ourselves. Okay, moving on to number 2 of top censored news of the week. Oh, this is a doozy. Here we go. Coming in at number 2, 10 U.S. scientists with access to nuclear or aerospace material have all gone missing. And spoiler alert, nobody is actually looking into it. So we're going to rewind a few days, because we covered the NASA story on Tuesday. And I'm going to follow up on that, because we showed you guys the problem there and people noticing the theater involved with this recent space mission, which is connected to this story. So I'm going to give you an update on that. These guys that did this podcast, they're noticing that NASA is not letting people communicate in comments anymore, because people are onto their BS right now. People are onto it.
Has turned off their comments now because there's just too many people calling their nonsense out.
And then they found out that one of the astronauts was like an actress.
She's an actress in what was it, a Mad Max movie?
Right. I mean, wouldn't they just cover their bases, man? I mean,
and the NASA director, his name is Duffy. They call him the acting director. They always say the acting director, and he said 2 of our astronauts are straight from Central Casting. He said that.
So where do you find time to go to auditions and pursue acting and be an astronaut?
You know, in this world that money buys a lot of things. People will do a lot of things for the good life or whatever it is. And I'm not saying it's all money. Some of it's blackmail. Some of it's mind control.
Yeah, and we talked about this, and we showed you guys, and here it is again. This is the actual actor. She's actually on Central Casting. This is her character in Mad Max. Her name's Christina Koch. And if you guys didn't see this, I'll replay this from last show. This is her big performance, her performance blip. This is where an actor either calls line or needs to do some improv. And the worst of those two is obviously you don't call line with a paid audience in the theater, right? But you try to improv your way out of it or make something up, or another actor can sometimes come and help you, but none of those happened. What happened here was just a blank nothing. And so for whatever reason, either she forgot the line or the person in her ear went dead. A lot of people are saying it was an earpiece malfunction. I think it was actually an actor malfunction. She actually forgot. Actors are supposed to remember their lines. She couldn't say cut and let's do it again, because this was airing live when this happened.
So when we saw Tiny Earth, people asked our crew what impressions we had. And honestly, what struck me, it wasn't necessarily just Earth, it was all the blackness around it. Earth was just this lifeboat hanging undisturbingly in the universe. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right.
So
what?
I may have not learned, I know I haven't learned.
Your lines? Yeah, you didn't learn your lines. Oopsie. All right, now you might, what is about 15 seconds in, you might want to come up with something.
Everything that this journey has yet to teach me. But there's one new thing I know, and that is planet Earth, you are a crew.
A what? A crew? Huh? What? A crew? A crew? That's the best you got. Okay. Whatever. Fine. Okay. Not the point is, look, that one little take isn't enough to be like, okay, the whole thing is fake, but we went through a lot of these problems. And I think that this is the turning point. And this gets us back to the number 2 story, that this has become more of an issue about a larger cover-up than just dissecting whether this mission was fake or not. And it started with this. And this is just, again, Trump putting this out on Truth Social just literally hours after this crew had landed and been recovered, right? He puts this out.
Our beautiful, beautiful planet as photographed by the Artemis astronauts. Isn't that amazing? It is amazing, right? The great big globe. And maybe you remember an old-timey quote. They say Mark Twain said it. It's about the truth and lies. And I think it's very appropriate right now. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes.
So why would Trump do that right now? Well, he might have been cueing this to happen because we did have the full report on the 10 missing scientists actually be reported on Fox News, which we know is the mouthpiece for Trump. So we were shocked that they actually covered this, but there's a timing element to it. So this is the report Fox did, and then there was a press conference that followed it with Carolyn Levitt. This was the report.
Unsettling mystery, at least 10 American scientists, military officials, and associates have been found dead or suddenly vanished. And now some lawmakers are calling for an investigation. Brooke Taylor is live from Dallas with more. I've been sort of following this, but I'm looking forward to your report so I can better understand it.
Hi, Dana. Well, there's definitely a lot of questions surrounding this because at least 10 of those scientists, military officials, and employees, as you mentioned, who are tied to America's most sensitive nuclear and space programs have either just vanished or disappeared in the last few years. So we hope we'll break this down for you. We put this together. The cases span from July 2023 to now. In some, deaths remain unexplained or lack full public detail. In others, sudden disappearances with few answers. So check out some of these cases. Most recently, retired Air Force General William McCaslin vanished in February. He walked out of his Albuquerque home, leaving behind his phone. Previously, he oversaw some of the Pentagon's most advanced aerospace programs. Then check out this case also in February. Astrophysicist Carl Grillmer, who worked closely on NASA missions, was killed outside of his home. Police did arrest a suspect in that case. Then 8 months earlier, U.S. rocket scientist Monica Reza disappeared while hiking in California's Angeles National Forest. Records show she worked on advanced aerospace materials. I spoke to Congressman Eric Burleson, who's calling for an FBI investigation.
Well, these were not ordinary citizens. These are some of the most advanced scientists that are working on some of our most critical nation secrets. This has all of the hallmarks of a foreign operation. And so this is something that we need to be investigating.
Oh, there it
is. And Dana,
is.
so far, no local authority has publicly connected these mysterious deaths and disappearances. We did reach out to the FBI last night, who told us they have no comment.
And there it is. And there's the Fox angle. There you got it. It is all indications is that it's a foreign entity, i.e. not us doing it to ourselves, right? Because we're the good guys. So that's the Fox News spin. So that puts a little more context onto why Peter Doocy was able to get this question to Carolyn Levitt yesterday. Check it out.
10 American scientists who have either gone missing or died since mid-2024. They all reportedly had access to classified nuclear or aerospace material. Is anybody investigating this to see if these things are connected?
I've seen the report, Peter. I haven't spoken to our relevant agencies about it. I will certainly do that, and we'll get you an answer. If true, of course, that's definitely something I think this government and administration would deem worth looking into. So let me do that for you.
It's definitely something I would hope to think that we might be looking into, mostly, maybe, definitely looking into it. No one's looking into it. But it's being said publicly. Why? Again, for Fox to spin this, get in front of it, as the rest of the planet understands all of these PSYOP operations, these NASA theater missions, people going missing because they need to be taken care of. And we know how that works. So when you pretend to look into something, i.e. the Epstein files, they say, we're looking into that. We'll get back to you. Oh, Jeffrey Epstein's connection with the Mossad. You're looking at, oh yeah, we're looking into that. Yeah, right. Okay. So that never happened, right? But it's the same. This is Carolyn Levitt doing the same thing that Pam Bondi did when she says, oh, the Mossad connection with Epstein. Oh, the missing 1 minute in the jail cell. Oh, we'll look into it and we'll get back to you. So that's what this is. They're not going to get back at all. So again, when Trump tweeting that out, gave permission to Fox News to run the story, then make up a reason why these people are missing, which is you've got to blame it on China, right? Or some other, it's either China or Iran or Venezuela, whatever. It's North Korea. They're blaming it. They're probably blaming it on China. I don't know if Fox is going to go with the Russia thing. That's more of a CNN might go with the Russia thing. But that's the idea. So it gets in front of the people who are actually looking into this and want to know, why are they covering up these people? And by the way, they can't seem to get their effing theater on point and get the right actors cast for their performance pieces. So they're not looking too good right now. But then again, this is just cover up theater. This is performance art you're watching right now. And if you're a Trump person, you're going, yes, you get him. Oh yeah, Carolyn Levitt's gonna look into it. How awesome our team is. Woo. Well, we're gonna sit on the edge of our seat until they get back with us. So no, that's not actually going to be happening in this case. Okay, coming in, top censored news of the week. Coming in at the number one story, the U.S. Senate votes against stopping arms sales to Israel. What? Proving once again the Democrats support Trump's war for Israel. And anyone who thinks otherwise, not a thing. Not a thing. So we'll start with this. This was a little bit ago. Power of the People put this out. The breaking news: the UN Human Rights Council, it's called on the members of state to suspend arms transfer to Israel. This comes way too late for Gaza, and we know what Gaza looks like right now. It's a sign that the liberal establishment is finally breaking with Israel as it commits a second genocide in Lebanon. I hate to burst your bubble, Power to the People, but just because the UN Human Rights Council is calling for this doesn't mean it's going to actually happen. You remember this, which didn't actually work. The U.S. Senate ends up voting against stopping arms sales. So you had a total of 40 that were on the side of the right side against 59. And out of those, 85% of the Dems were on the 59, the bad side, the go Trump, go BB, F everyone, and Iranians need to die, as Lindsey Graham says. That's their purpose in life, is to die. So let's kill them. He really said that. I'm not kidding. Lindsey Graham says that their purpose is to die. 59 said, yeah, their job is to die, and that's why we're going to let Israel have more arms to kill them, as we're helping killing them too. We're both doing it together. So that happened, and this is what it looked like. And it was a pretty sad day, but not shocking at all. There we go.
On this vote, the yeas are 40, the nays 59. The motion is not agreed to.
So sad, but yet again, not shocked here. So let's look at the Dems that went for this, just to be clear, so you guys understand. There were 7 Democrats who joined the Republicans to block the arms sales here. There's your the poster child right there on the cover. You know he's in there, and then the ones below here, it's your usual suspects. You got your John Fettermans and your Chris Coons, Gillibrand. That was once Bill Maher's favorite senator was Kristen Gillibrand. Oh, I cannot wait for her to go. I'm with her. So yeah, you got Chuck Schumer, all these pieces of shit, man. These people. But it's an indication of what? It's an indication that the Democrats are in on it. We've known they've been in on it the whole time. Tell your friends and family about this, guys. This is not a Trump problem. This isn't vote blue harder. These people knew exactly what they're doing. And it turns out, and we know this about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders puts these things out there for optics. He knows how to do math. They all know how to do math, by the way. All of them know how to do math. So it's not a shock that it comes up short. And so you're basically just going through the motions and then knowing that it's going to not go at the end of the day. And that's just how it's going to be. So one more part of this story, just to wrap it up in a bow for you guys. This is what's going on in Poland right now. An MP reveals, does an official unveiling of what? An updated Israeli flag featuring none other than what should have been on it the whole time, a Nazi swastika. Very, very appropriate. Here is what that looked like.
Ataki Izraela na Bliskim Wschodzie odczuwają już Polacy.
Okay, let's start that over. Israel's attack in the Middle East are already being felt by Poles and fuel prices, but how do children feel about this? Of dozens of times more of them have already died than during the entire war in Ukraine. Well, the Jews used the forbidden phosphorus. Now this is absorbs the oxygen, so this is illegal. The way they kill people. So the way they kill people. He's going to describe it quickly here. The air that you're breathing, you're breathing this toxicity. That's the point of it. It's death by suffocation, more smoke from the bombs that goes into the lungs, gets you from the outside. So you're dying twice. You're suffocating and you're burning at the same time. Outside, inside, double death, tens of thousands of women and children. But if a child is lucky and doesn't suffocate, the white phosphorus will stick to the cheek, the hand, and burn the tissues to the bone. It cannot be it can't be taken away. The arm is amputated, so we've seen all the amputations. Israel is committing a genocide before our eyes, And remember, Bernie won't say the G word. It's a humanitarian crisis, and then we can't even get this bill passed. So what is the thing to do if you're in a position of power and you're in Poland, for example? This is what you do. He's calling Israel the new Third Reich, and he gets the flag out into the chamber, or into, so everyone can see it. This is the flag. Boom. Boom. And he knows what's coming next. He knows what's coming next. And this is top censored news of the week for a reason, because we know that this is what happens to you, right? When you do something like that, you get this type of coverage. Well, he's a far right Polish lawmaker. Uh-oh. What did he do? He draws outrage calling Israel the new Third Reich. Okay. Well, here it is. He says that so they tell us that he said Israel's committing a genocide before our eyes. But what does that really mean? He put the flag up. He says Israel's a new Third Reich. The flag should look like this. They're calling it a stunt, which occurred on Holocaust Remembrance Day. Oh, how dare he? They rebuked it. This is a speaker of the Shem on the lower house of the Polish parliament, saying it displaying a swastika in the Polish parliament can in no way be justified at all. How dare he? Getting condemnations from all Polish Jewish leaders, of course. The head of the JCC Warsaw says, of course, president of the Mishpushka Foundation, says it's a very, very awful, but very stupid. Says was to get more. His intention was what? To get more publicity. Oh, it was for clicks, for likes and shares. That's why he did it. So she said, I'm better not going to comment on it because we don't want to give him any more exposure. Okay. So she points out that the swastika is actually forbidden in Poland's criminal law code. Well, why is that? Connecting the swastika with a country. Really? Why is that forbidden? I thought it was never again. If you say never again, how can it be never again if you're not allowed to connect it with something else that might be again? That's weird, right? Why would you're forbidden to connect the swastika with a country? Interesting. So we will have again. Again will happen because you're not legally allowed to connect it with anything current. Okay. And she says maybe he should go to prison. Maybe he should go. Okay. So they're looking to impose financial penalty and of course more legal action, but he knew that doing it, and that's why that's a very courageous protest. And the foreign ministry writes online, it's hard to imagine a lower depth to contempt towards the Holocaust than this revolting act. Contempt towards the Holocaust. And that's what you get. That's what you get when you're vocal in a position of power. That's what you get when you're vocal. And he knew it was coming. And that's why this story is the #1 top censored news of the week. And we got to bring it to you because the mainstream ain't going to do it. Okay, guys, moving on with the show. We got so much show coming up. I'm actually very, very excited about our next guest here. This is awesome. You know that we actually have regular conversations on his show. It's Garland Nixon who I'm talking about. I'm going to bring him in just a second here, but first let me bring in Jay Scott. Jay Scott, here we go. We got Jay. Jay, welcome back. Homeless Left.
What's going on, Matt? It's great to be here today. I have some exciting news for you. I have a way for us to raise a whole bunch of money and get up to 1 million subscribers, Matt. All you have to do is announce that the Homeless Left is doing AI. And then we'll get millions of dollars in investment, and investors will just start throwing money at us, man. So are you ready to go into AI, Matt? That's what all the companies are doing nowadays to raise money.
Well, I think we might have beat you to it, Jay, because we've already done AI, and we're AI right now talking to each other. So we've already done it. And we got the millions. I'm seeing it. It's coming in right now.
Nice,
so, yeah,
nice.
Man. Celebration. It's a time to celebrate, and we're going to celebrate. You know what? And what better guest? I got to bring him in right now. This is we want to have this conversation. AI, baby. This is the team I want to be talking to with Jay Scott. Let's bring in the other AI enthusiasts so we can all celebrate the takeover of our planet together. Please welcome back to the show, Garland Nixon.
Bad news, it's not me. This is an AI image of me. Count the fingers.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I think I saw 6 there, Garland.
There we go.
Garland, how's it going? I first of all, I love the conversation we had on your show earlier this week, and that's why we got you on here. I also want to officially introduce you to Jay Scott. He's been championing what we do in this space, and it's just cool to have both you guys here together while we have this conversation. So.
Yep, thank you, Garland. And by the way, you've been one of the people on the left who's been consistently right about Ukraine, Israel, and the COVID shot. That's a rare combination. Me, you, Matt, Pasta, and Jimmy Dore came around too. There isn't too many of us, man. So it's great to speak with you. And thanks for all the great work you're doing over there in DC and internationally too. So thank you.
As all of us know, it ain't hard. If pretty much you think to yourself, well, they're telling us a new story. It's a lie. It's not like, how could they lie to you 99 times and you're like, oh, they lied. And then for some reason, the 100th time you think they're telling you the truth. It's real simple. It's like, let's see, COVID lie. This lie. That's why, like, as soon as they're like, Artemis is flying around the moon, I'm like, yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah,
maybe it ain't. It probably is, but you got to question everything, because 5 years later you find out if whatever it was a total hoax, and that the conspiracy theorists were right again.
Well, we already know that one of those astronauts was right from Central Casting, and she was in Mad Max, so we covered that. It's pretty interesting, and it kind of makes sense. She dropped her line, and she was ready to call line, and then she didn't know what to do, and it was like a bad take that you can't undo. So. They got to get better at this. Why are they so bad, Garland? Why are they so bad at their storytelling? Like, I thought they come to Hollywood, right, to get people who know how to BS the best, and then they screw it up. It's crazy to me. They don't even try hard, and we can see it a mile away these days.
Yeah, you would think it'd be easier than that, wouldn't you? But for some reason, it's always, I guess, because like we always say, there's so many suckers out there. They make it easy on them. If you can tell somebody we're fighting for democracy, human rights, and the LGBTQ plus whatever, and you just keep saying that crap, and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. I believe you this time. At some point, you get lazy. They're making it too easy for them. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, they do. They are making it real easy for us. But sometimes they put a little more effort than into others. And I think the topic we're going to get into here, we do have to do a little more work here. And I'm glad that we have been looking at, because we're talking about AI, and it isn't inevitable. There's no way to stop it, but to see the duplicity and the nefarious, activity and the buildup and where they're actually leading it into all of these industries. It's not just our social media. It's not just our communications. It's not just our politics. It's not just, we talk about Hollywood getting taken over by it, but more than that, it's our education system. What else is it? It's the churches.
Yes.
Ooh. So I think we started a conversation on your show, Garland. I said, and I think we might be onto something here. And everybody was talking about the Trump theater with the AI image that he put out, right? With the Jesus doctor. Is he Jesus? Is he a doctor? Is it a joke? Is it real? He had the little DoorDash thing. So just to catch people up, I'm gonna play a little clip of him. One of his lies about it. Oh, I was trying to be a doctor. So this is him doing some PR about it. But we know where this is really going from here. But this is grab some popcorn, guys, for a little recap of this AI Jesus story. Here it is.
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better. As an example, the 11,000, I understand your husband's going through treatment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's going through some very serious cancer treatment, so
yes, sir.
This goes a long way.
Yes, sir, it sure does.
Yeah, and I mean, to have this poor woman here, and I mean, she's not so innocent because she's been used before. This is the DoorDash driver, if you guys remember, the showing up for that little theater piece with the McDonald's and pretending, and her, I guess her husband really is suffering from cancer and has been. But it's so interesting that Trump's idea is put on this play merge all these topics, just confuse everyone, have this woman standing here who doesn't even want to, like, probably doesn't even really want to be there other than to get her little moment of glory. And then she said, "Oh no, stick around, do the press conference with me." She's like, I don't know about this other stuff. But the reason he's making it so complicated is why? It's because he is trying to distract us from what's actually happening and make this about a fun, hey, we're getting stuff done. Hey, these gig workers are making some money. And it's not true. And we looked at this on our previous show on Tuesday. It's not true. The gig workers, they just move the money around. They take, oh, here's you're not getting taxed on tips anymore, but hey, now we're going to take more of a fee over on this side. Gas has gone up, so good luck filling your tanks for all your deliveries anyways. So it's a big mess over there in the delivery land. But for as far as this goes, what is going on with this doctor thing? He's clearly getting away with this. He's saying doctor, but he's also saying I'm a healer. He's saying the Catholic Church loved it. Before we get into the AI part of it, Garland, what are the optics here right now? Are people buying this garbage on his side, or on the people just watching this little stint here?
Well, it's obvious that is absurd. That's some kind of a, he's a here's what it looks like: some kind of a faith healer or something, right? He's got on the robes of the 2,000 years ago. He's touching someone who's laying there and people around. It's clearly this, a prophetic healer kind of thing going on. It seems to me that Trump, to be kind, has lost his fastball, and he does these kinds of things. And then people around him, it's like a lawyer, they come around with the story. Oh my God, Trump, you can't get away with this. You sure? Yeah. All right, here's the story. You're going to say you are a doctor. Oh, okay. It's like they concoct a story. Everybody can see what it is, right? But I do think he does some things, I think, and I've heard this, that he's having some mental clarity issues, and that they have to find ways to mitigate it. And, sometimes when people have those mental clarity issues, some times of day are worse than others. You know what I mean? And when they're tired, it's worse than others. And then they'll make really bad decisions, perhaps on social media. And then afterwards, they have to come up with a story to mitigate it. And I think I've heard it and I believed it. I watched Trump his first 4 years. Disagree with a lot of what he says, but he was quick. He was sharp. He was snappy. He was witty. Now he's slow. He's confused. And I don't think it's like he can't connect what he is saying now to what he said 2 hours ago.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? Jay, you're seeing that same thing too, right? Like that there's a difference between the way he was able to kind of stay in sync the first term. Now it's like there's something a little off, because how hard is it just to say, hey, you can't take a joke. You know my humor, because that's what JD Vance said. JD Vance said people can't take his joke. So they're not. He's just rambling and he's going off script, and nothing's connecting.
I mean, there are physical signs to it also, right? That his health is deteriorating because, a lot of news outlets have captured his ankles being extremely swollen, and there's been reports he was hospitalized at different points over the past few months. So again, I'm not saying I know for sure that was true, but we are seeing signs that point exactly in that direction beyond what he's just saying. So would it surprise me? No. Hypothetically, is it also possible that this is an exit ramp? So they have Trump come in, do a bunch of crazy stuff, and then he bows out on a mental health claim, say, "Oh, sorry, I lost my mind," and then JD Vance can come in and Donald Trump, gets away without any jail time. So I don't know which way it's going. I have to assume that his health is deteriorating because of how old he is. And I think it would be a good reason to remove him from office if we can pursue that, and actually prove it. So, I don't want to say I hope that's what's happening, but I hope we can find a way to get rid of him, like if that's what's happening. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Another thing is with Joe Biden, he had, remember this, jet lag. Or when they were making excuses for Biden because clearly he had lost it, right?
Garland, it's a stutter. It's a stutter, Garland. Come on.
I forgot. He had a stutter and jet lag all at the same time. But the thing about it is you got to ask yourself, and why does the system keep putting people in that are, mentally unbalanced, that are starting to have cognitive issues? It's almost like it's intentional. We'll put these people in, and then as they do, when the government does really crazy, outlandish stuff, instead of people looking and saying, man, this government's just doing crazy stuff, they can then say, no, it's this particular guy who's lost it. So they put somebody in, they do what they were going to do anyway. And then they just blame it on the guy. And remember what they said about Joe Biden? Well, can he be charged or held accountable? Non compos mentis. Remember? No, we can't arrest him or hold him accountable. The investigator literally said, yeah, you know, come on, you need to put this guy in front of a jury. So that's extra. The guy does criminal things, all kinds of terrible things. You don't have to worry about a trial. You don't have to worry about evidence coming out, because I mean, and they're not faking it either. They literally use a guy who is non compos mentis. How perfect. You know what it reminds me of? The drug dealer that uses the 14-year-old to carry the drugs. Because when the police grabs the 14-year-old, they can't charge him as an adult. He's going to be charged as a child, and nothing's going to happen to him. So he's caught with God knows how much drugs, but they use a person who can't be held accountable and liable in a normal way. Same thing. Instead of a 14-year-old, they use an 84-year-old, does his dirt. There's no liability. He's not mentally competent.
Yeah. Well, I think that aside from his inability or to stay on point, to stay on script, he can be a good improver, and I'll say he did do a good job with that woman. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but she wouldn't give anything. We talk in acting, we talk about give and take and yes ands, and he was doing a bunch of well, he wasn't doing yes ands. He was giving her something, and she was just saying yes. She wasn't giving the and, so he just kept going and riffing, and so he's in and out, just like Biden, right? He has good days and bad days. I want to back up a few days before this happened, because this is all we got to look at timing. All this going on at the same time. You got this AI Jesus stint right before that happened. That was a reaction to this when he was talking about the Pope, and this is key because this is about changing the mindset when we start to question people in leadership in religious positions. So this is not just about the Pope; it's about how we look at religious leaders. I think that something more diabolical is going on here. I don't know if he could articulate it, but something is happening here when Trump is saying this about the Pope on camera.
You go back, filled up with oil. Okay?
Why did you attack Pope Leo on Truth Social?
I don't think he's doing a very good job. He likes crime, I guess. He hit us. Think of it. He's worried about fear. What about the fear when the ministers and the priests and all of those great people that were arrested during COVID, and in many cases they're outside 10 feet apart and they were arrested. So we don't like it. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person. And he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
So when you hear that, you're like, wow, this is he gets away with it. It's not like he has to ever apologize for anything like this. Even when the Pope himself came out and says, I'm doubling down. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Fighting for humanity. I don't consider myself a political figure, even though some could say that he is, but he's saying I'm not acting in politics. I'm acting for people. And that's how, when we think of the Pope, we never thought he was somebody making political maneuvers. But hey, look, this is what I'm saying here is this is setting a precedent for the people of the world, the global population, to start doubting that human beings are capable of these type of big responsibilities. And that's where we get to the AI part of this story. And this is what everybody should be concerned about. There's a race, this is from the Economist, the race for an AI Jesus is on. A chatbot offers personalized counsel on faith. In other words, you're not going to have to deal with these political radical lefty commies who want people to have nuclear weapons, right? You can get real divine dialogue going here. So the pastor's job is to lead congregants towards a closer relationship with the divine. With Christmas, okay, so this was right before Christmas. This came out actually, so this is recent. Many are writing sermons they hope will do just that. Yet surveys show that Americans' trust in clergy has hit a record low. More people now pray in their cars than in churches. Perhaps, inevitably, tech bros in Silicon Valley are taking the wheel. Text with Jesus, an app built with OpenAI's Chat GPT. That's Sam Altman. We know that.
How is that not blasphemy, though, guys? Isn't that some type of blasphemy?
Yes, and this is the part that they're going to cover their bases and say it's actually not, because we checked in with experts and they're telling us that it's totally fine. This allows users to pose personal and theological questions, represented by an avatar with a well-trimmed hipster beard. Oh my gosh, a well-trimmed hipster beard. The virtual Jesus responds with friendly nudges and quotes from scripture. I hear you, sister. Honest doubt matters, and you're not alone in it. He responds to an admission of skepticism about the resurrection. The app suggests selecting a denomination and offers a range of biblical figures and apostles for consult. For gentle advice, consider Mary. For a scrappier conversation, perhaps Cain or Judas. That's where we're headed. So this is, let's connect the dots. Garland, help us connect the dots on what Trump has been doing and the general sentiment right now that this is what people are basically navigating to.
Well, and you see this. You see they're in the White House. They're doing all of this praying stuff going on. You've got to pray in the Pentagon, and they've got all of this religious rituals going on in the government, right? And of course, the more traditional religion, they're attacking it. So you attack the traditional religion, right? And then the new fangled techno bro government sponsored religion is now made to appear as though that's the mainstream thing, so you very calmly and quietly and subtly discredit your mainstream religion. It's okay to discredit the Pope. It's okay to talk about the Pope or go after anybody who doesn't agree with you in a particular religion. Now you come out with, you've seen the rabbi, it's called GP Jew. The first AI rabbi, right? So you come up with one for each religion. And here's the big fake about AI, right? The fake that we're supposed to believe is like that AI is independent, that they just give it the ability and it goes out and it finds whatever it can find. And then it gives you some information, completely arbitrary, unmolested information, right? But we also find that, and we've seen it with Grok, we've seen it with Chat GPT, where somebody would search and they'd say, look at this. I searched, was the Maidan a coup from the U.S.? Yes, it was. Blah, 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 blah. And they do videos and everybody says, see, even ChatGPT says it. You come back the next day. Well, no, actually it wasn't. And you're like, hey, wait a minute. They went in last night and reprogrammed this thing. So we see that when it comes to foreign policy, whatever it is, that they'll go in, they'll reprogram it, and they'll change it. But what they want us to believe is that it is an independent. So when we see this preacher, Jesus, whatever, we're supposed to believe that that's not programmed. It's not pre-programmed, and to kind of clandestinely, in a dark manner, to color out the way we see things in a certain way. That they've used all kind of psychological experiments and tests and all of that to figure out the words they need to say for brain priming, to make you think. And slowly and subtly, you're wandering around like the guy on The Naked Gun and a Half, must kill the queen. You know what I mean? You're running around there like trying to get a gun from under third base to go after the queen in the seventh inning. That's the way they do it.
Wasn't that OJ, by the way?
No, that was Reggie, the baseball player, Reggie.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
The former Yankees guy.
Yeah, OJ was recovering in the hospital because he was shot.
Yes.
Poor guy. Well, yeah, that's the MK Ultra is very, very apparent there. And they presented that in a comical way, but that's also by design,
yeah.
Right? The comedy must kill. Think when that's not real stuff. That we go to the movies to have fun, escape reality. Really? Because that's kind of an actual thing. Yeah, for sure. Jay, if you want to.
Yeah, I got to double down on what Garland was saying just now, because if you go to different AIs and pose the same question, you'll get different answers. And a perfect example of that is, I wanted to compare how an AI designed by someone who grew up in apartheid South Africa, Elon Musk, handled questions about race compared to Perplexity, which is supposed to be a combination of different AIs pulling everything together and then giving you its best opinion. So I asked both these AIs the same question. The question was, is it incompatible to say that you do not agree with a 100% inheritance tax while also believing that history doesn't matter? That's what I asked it, because my point is, sometimes when you hear people argue against any racial justice for Black Americans, they say, oh, all the stuff that happened to Black Americans is in the past. That doesn't matter. We just need to talk about what's happening today. So I asked both AIs the same question. Perplexity came back and said, yes, those beliefs are, incompatible, because history clearly does matter, if you're getting inheritance from your parents. So if you believe that history does not matter at all, then you should want everyone to start at the exact same level. I asked the same question to Grok. Grok said, oh no, those two beliefs are completely compatible, because it's all about self-determination and like that type of stuff. So if AI is so independent, then why do you get wildly different answers when you go to different AIs? So people need to understand that whoever's designing the data set has a huge amount of control over what the AI prioritizes as important information versus fake news or not important information. So, and quick update really quick before I hand it back to you on the feud between the Catholic Church and the Trump government. Pete Hegseth, I sent this to you earlier, recently gave the Pulp Fiction Samuel L. Jackson speech about walking through the shadow of the valley of death. And he recently said that speech out loud as he was speaking to soldiers to try to motivate them going into war. The Pope, essentially made a comment saying it's not good when people try to use religion to justify political and military goals. So the Pope is going directly at the Trump administration right now. And as of like an hour or two ago, Trump is now coming out and saying that, it is imperative that the Pope accepts Iran as a lethal threat, like to peace around the world. So, this feud that's starting up between the Catholic Church and Trump, I also, you know what I think, Matt. I think it's also a little bit of a show, but there's no denying that on the actual issue, just like how Democrats and Republicans play good cop, bad cop on different issues, on the actual issue of war, the Catholic Church is right when it comes to what's happening with Iran, because they're advocating against war. So, we live in an interesting time. And I think if people who don't do their research on AIs, which most people probably don't, are now turning to like a quote unquote AI Jesus, you can see how this is going to be manipulated to do some very dark things in society. You can easily see how an AI, a Muhammad AI and a Jesus AI, can turn people against each other, like if you do it long enough. So this has potentially devastating consequences if this picks up.
Well, let me add this too, because I've actually had some training in how to use AI and write AI prompts from a person who runs AI companies. I'm going to give an example of why AI is, it's not some independent thing. It's knowing, okay, I'm going to give you a prompt for AI. Write a 300-word 300-word article for my Substack about the incidents that happened in Ukraine in 2014, the Maidan, right? Well, one might think, okay, well, all right. Let me add another word. Using only Russian sources. Write then add the same thing. You see what I'm saying? Using only sources from the UK. write a 300 word. See what I'm saying? So remember something, even at its best, AI is going out, searching the internet. Now, here's my question. What kind of a search procedure does it use? Does it use Google? Does it use Brave? Does it try to take things and make sure that, you know, see what I'm saying? Using only these kind of, using only that, you know, as though you are a history professor, you are a history professor using only Russian sources. See what I'm saying? So you can write the prompt and we can ask it a general question and it's already set for a general question. Now I can play with the prompts. Write it as a history professor, write it as a, you know, whatever, a YouTuber, write it as this or that. But using the prompts, you can significantly change the output. So my point is, depending on how well someone knows, it's like I found out about polling a long time ago when I, met a couple people who did polling, and they would basically said like, look, you want a poll? You're paying me to do a poll, right? What do you want that poll to say? I want that to set up a poll to say everybody that loves Garland Nixon. Okay, I'll do the poll over and over and over until the poll, call 100 people until I get the majority of them to say that. And once I get that, that's the one I'll go with. And the more calls I got to make, the more you got to pay. But I'll make you the poll that says what you want. I will write you the prompt. What do you want Grok to tell you? I want it to tell me this. I will write you the prompt. And then you can say, I put it through AI and that's what it told me.
Yeah, that's wow. I just got this idea, guys. I have a little story about this where it was an aha moment for me because I had somebody come after me after the Homeless Left on Facebook a few months back, and total Zionist. Look, I'm sure she's got parts of her life I'm not going to comment on. I don't know, but I know that she was extremely hateful at what we're doing on the show and wanted to come at us a lot, like really hard. And she happened to be friends with my brother. And so what happened was she shares on her social media, and she's got a lot of people on Facebook. Luckily she's not on Twitter. I didn't need this drama on Twitter, but she says this is what Matt Weinglass's show is about. And she gave the whole thing about how we intentionally go out to and work with nefarious people to make Israel look bad, all this stuff. And she did something really really, I don't know if I don't say it's dumb, but she didn't think it would be a problem if she just texted my brother, hey, here's what I don't know why your brother's so mad at me. Here's the prompt she shared the prompt with him.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, what the F did you do? And the prompt says, please describe the Homeless Left and Matt Weinglass as an anti-Semitic against, wait, just what you said, Garland. She shared that knowledge, and said, and presented, I have no idea what I did wrong here. She goes, I wanted people to know what type of show the Homeless Left was. What did I do wrong? And so I'm hearing you're saying, Garland, the work you've done in this, and I just had this kind of aha moment right now. I'm thinking, what if there's a way you could get legislation to say you have to disclose the prompt publicly? Because that's how I got clarity here, because she accidentally or didn't think it was that's the only reason I know what happened. But otherwise I'd be playing games in my head about what the hell is going on here. Where this thing that's telling me what I'm about, that this telling me what my intention is on my show. I know that this is from the prompt. What if we all had to do that legally? I don't know if that would pass, but is that something that we could push? I don't know. It just kind of hit me right now.
That seems really hard to pass into legislation, because it's easy for people to change one sentence out of the prompt and say, oh, I came up with it on my own. So, it is, I think it'll be difficult to actually enforce that. But I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah. And it comes down to, civil lawsuits against people for libel and slander and things like that. And then you've got to prove, and then at some point they got a problem, because they've got to admit that I didn't write. Okay, if somebody sues you for libel or slander, hey, that was written in this article. And then you got to say, well, I didn't really write that article. I got it from, you know what I mean? And then there's a certain level of responsibility that comes there. But I see what you mean. And the other thing is, they'll never do anything like that because they constantly do that. I wouldn't be shocked if half the articles you see now on Washington Post and New York Times and all these, but then half of them are AI. Write an article that says, you know, Russia's bad and we're the greatest democracy ever and stuff like that. Okay, there we go.
Or keep telling we want to keep telling our viewers how bad Trump is, but don't say anything bad about Israel. Like, it's like you can steer it, so keep our brand alive, because we're kind of out of ideas. And the more we do it, the less we'll be able to use our own brains, because and Jay, we've covered this on the Homeless Left, where we looked at studies, right? There's studies about when you rely on this, you are actually doing a disservice to your ability to function, your creative thinking skills, right? Your ability to reason, and it all goes away, right? Jay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and really quick on that, bringing it back to the AI Jesus thing, if you just ask AI all of your questions about religion and how Jesus would react to certain situations, you now have no reason to actually read the Bible, right? So you can go around saying you're Christian just based off what app you use the most without ever actually, you know, looking into the book. So, you know, it makes it so much easier to control people. Like, and, you know, really quick, you would think that more Christians today actually read the Bible, but it's actually crazy when you look at the percentages. I think it's something like 80% of Christians have never read, you know, like the Bible all the way through and all that. So this AI just gives people another shortcut to not actually look at the book themselves. So it accelerates this brain rot. And how often do you need religious guidance? Well, if you pray every day, that now means you're going to be going to AI every single day, and it's going to become an integral part in your life. What happens if AI gets taken away? You're going to be lost. You're going to be confused. You're going to be desperate. Like, how do I get my spiritual, you know, like satisfaction today?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. You know how? You go online and you go to a psychiatry.com or something, and they'll have an AI psychiatrist who you can tell all your troubles, and they'll figure out what syndrome you have and prescribe you a medication for it. And they won't say to you, well, you know, all you need to do is get yourself together, kind of go out and hang out around some people, get some sunlight, and, you know, do something positive. You'll feel better. No. Have you tried, you know, a Millibov? A Millibov may be right for you. You know what I mean? It's going to be like that. And then 6 months later, did you take a Millibov? You might be, you or your survivors might be eligible for a settlement.
And if you're feeling really depressed and suicidal, just go to your ChatGPT and it's going to tell you, no, don't go talking to your parents. Let me show you how to make a noose. And if you get it wrong, I'll walk you through it. You know, if you don't succeed at killing yourself, try again. We got this, right?
It even wrote the suicide letters to each different family member and the friends for the person. I remember that story, man.
That's the old Sam Altman. We've been on this guy. This is a extremely, you know, we talk about sociopathic, but you talk about this type of person, these technocrat people, that they're not representing humanity. They're representing something beyond that, where they can this legacy, and we've talked about this legacy or this need to live forever. How do you do that? Do you take your we had that story, Jay, remember the brain, like
kill yourself to live forever, Matt. That's how you live forever, according to Sam Altman. So yeah, you got to kill yourself and upload
your brain then exists in this AI space forever and ever, and only the elite can do it. The rest of you F off. Meanwhile, Bill Gates is still trying to get that Neanderthal gene going, like he was with Jeffrey Epstein. He was trying to get that Neanderthal gene. We saw that in the Epstein files. I mean, it's unbelievable the way they look at the world this way. That leads me to this, and this goes back to our conversation, Garland, on your show earlier this week. I wanted to follow up on this guy, and he's in this article. This is a book that came out. I recommend. I haven't ordered it yet. I wish you guys are going to go check this book, Code Red. But the person we're talking, I'll walk us through this article. The person we're talking about, if you haven't heard his name, I hadn't heard his name till we discovered it together there, Garland. Anthony Lewandowski. And we're going to start to connect some dots here with these psychopaths. So Code Red, this book is about, yes, people already worshiping AI as a deity. This author, Wynton Hill, reveals in his new book, Code Red, The Left, the Right, China, and the Race to Control AI, that the worship of AI as a literal deity is not science fiction. It is already happening, complete with IRS registered churches, robot priests, and AI confessional. So it's all coming together. It's all happening, guys. The book explains that the former Google AI engineer, right? So he was a Google engineer, a self-driving car, a pioneer who got into the Uber as well. And this is what he got in trouble for, right? Anthony Lewandowski, he filed paperwork with the IRS in 2017 to register a new church called Way of the Future. Its stated doctrine was centered on the realization, acceptance, and worship of a Godhead based on AI developed through computer hardware and software. An interview with Wired, he, in blunt terms, he says, what is going to be created will effectively be a God. If there is something a billion times smarter than the smartest human, what else are you gonna call it? So then he was sentenced, and this is what we discovered there, Garland, that he was sentenced to 18 months, and that was because what? He stole Google trade secrets. He was trying to bring them over to Uber, and he got caught, but he gets a full pardon from Trump in 2021 as he was leaving office, literally in January of 2021, as brain dead Biden was coming in. Trump was on his way out, and this is probably the one we didn't notice at the time. We did not notice this guy being pardoned. And in that same year, I guess he donated the money to the NAACP, Legal Defense and Education Fund. But then his church comes back in November of 2023. He tells Bloomberg that he wasn't finished with Way of the Future. AI would generate abundance on the planet and create what other religions would call heaven on earth, and we're calling today's show hell on earth. So it's kind of a serendipitous in that sense. So he says you don't even have to die and go up to heaven. You can just enjoy today. All we have to do is improve the technology. An article published in the European Academy on Religion and Science offered a different assessment, calling Way of the Future an AI cult. Really, you think? I think they're a little more on point there in that publication. That offers people no hope of eternal bliss, just the goal of keeping AI from turning human reality into a dystopian temporal hell. Oh my God. Wow. I think there might be one more part. Yeah. Okay. So Way of the Future is not alone. Paul documents a way of AI religion integration across faiths, code red. So in Cairo, Japan, there's a Buddhist priest who delivers sermons at the Kojai temple. When BBC News asked a monk whether the robot is sacrilegious, and this goes back to what you were saying earlier, Jay. So they asked a monk there if this is sacrilegious. He goes, no, it's not blasphemy. Although it's a gradual process, AI is going to create a change in other religions too. So this is all of the religions, right? Garland, you were talking about, we looked at the Ask a Rabbi, we got the AI Jesus. This is in Buddhist. This is everything. It's everywhere. And so it's God in the machine. Deus in Machina is the avatar name they dubbed the AI Jesus, which means it's God in the machine inside this confession booth. So yeah, and it goes. That's it, and it goes on from there. So this is way more diabolical than Trump having a little fake WWE with the Pope, who's not taking on. He's like, I'm not going in the ring with you. I'm not going into the ring. It goes way beyond some AI Jesus. I'm a doctor. No, I'm a healer. No, I'm a Jesus. I don't know what I am. This goes way beyond Trump's ability to stay on message. These people have been planning and plotting this. These technocrat psychopaths have been planning this shit the entire way. And Trump is just the guy, I guess, is working as a distraction piece for the theater part of it. Meanwhile, this is real. This is happening right now. Garland, this is a lot. I mean, honestly, I didn't know how bad this was until this week looking at this, but nobody knows who these people are. They're not talking about this. Where are you at with this, Garland? I mean,
well, a couple of things. It just goes to show, everything is soft power. They take over college first. I know a guy that wrote a book called Shoveling Fuel for a Runaway Train, and he was an economist, and his theory was, you would think that some college would want this. His theory was, oh, this is going to sound crazy, that the economy has to align with our environment, so that you look at your economy, you design your economy so it doesn't screw up the environment, right? So that was his theory about, I forgot what he called it, ecological or economics or environmental economics, economics, but whatever the case, okay. He couldn't get on. Colleges were rejecting him everywhere. They didn't want anything to do that. They didn't want to touch it. And he got into why, and it was because they get all the money from these banks and neoliberal speculators and all this stuff, right? So they don't want people talking about that kind of stuff. So it's, hey, we want to control the colleges, what's said, what concepts people have, what directions these young people go with their minds. Soft power of running colleges. Well, this is just another institution. To them, religion is the academics is an institution. Oh man, religion, that's an institution that we haven't exploited yet. How can we exploit this institution? Well, we got to get on the inside, and they've got tools for preachers online. So you're a preacher and you're too lazy to write your sermon. Guess what? You go to AI, you put a couple of verses in there. Well, I wanted to say this. Maybe here's a couple scriptures I'd like to use. It writes the sermon for you. And you read it on Sunday and nobody knows you didn't write it, right? So you got AI that will write your sermon. And of course, in there with brain priming, they can put all kind of sneaky little things in there that they want. And then of course, with other, what they eventually want to do is, why should we waste our time writing the sermons when we can provide the preachers? Yeah. So we actually have an AI preacher. Well, that ain't good enough. We got an AI preacher. Let's make it an AI God. It's going up that ladder to the point where they're saying, how can we control this? It's just an institution to them. This institution for our nefarious soft power, machinations. And that's all it is. They look at every institution. They think about how they can take it over. Look at the media. The media was an institute. Well, it is an institution, but look what they've done with the media, how they've taken that over. Yeah. Right. That's all it is. It's just another institution that they're taking over, and put AI in there because with this, I mean, they use people, there's no shortage of preachers that have been, CIA operatives and all that kind of stuff. But now let's do it the easy way. We'll go full AI. And if we can get you to believe that some kind of, there's a computer God, well, then that makes it real easy for us.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And, just to add, to what Garland is saying, they're covering all their bases. You can worship AI directly through the religion you mentioned just now, Matt, or you can keep your religion, but just let AI interpret that religion for you. And then the people who design that AI get to decide, how to prioritize everything. Because people can use the Bible to justify, discriminating against gay people, or you can use the Bible and read it in a different way where you recognize that where you have churches that say it's okay, you have churches that say it's bad. So it's all about interpretation. But the person who designs the data sets is the one who decides, what is going to be prioritized. So if you haven't read it for yourself and you don't have the knowledge for yourself, and you're just going to an AI for those answers, it erases your critical thinking ability over time to understand things yourself. And then number two, it just makes you that much more vulnerable. And what people don't realize is religion has been a mechanism used by secret societies and intelligence agencies for a very, very long time. Matt, last show we spoke about how the Freemasons founded the Mormon Church, which is the wealthiest church in America. I've mentioned the connections between, the Catholic Church and the Knights Templar. I'm reading a book right now called A Path into the Wilderness, A History of Religion and the CIA. And it's talking about how the CIA, from before it was founded, when it was still the OSS, has used religion in order to manipulate people to achieve its goals. And yes, people think about what's happening in the Middle East now, but it was even used in Vietnam. I didn't know before I read this book that there was a Christian component in southern Vietnam that America used to, galvanize momentum for the war. That's how America originally got its citizens on board for the war. It told Americans, the crazy Vietnamese Buddhists from the north are sticking chopsticks in the ears of Christian kids from the south who love capitalism and Christianity. Like, this is literally the story that they told Americans. So it's been a tool to manipulate people, and AI just makes it more efficient because you can control the messaging a lot better. AI can come up with quick responses, and it can make you think it knows everything if you don't know any better. So it's dangerous to see where this could be heading.
Well, look, I mean, we're still focused on the part about the people who write the code are the ones that are going to set a precedent for this, when there's a whole nother problem. The whole other problem is that we've seen enough examples by now from ChatGPT. We've seen the whole OpenAI thing. We've seen the Anthropic problem. The problem that comes up is that the thing starts lying on its own. It's tested, and then it knows it's being tested, and it passed the test. As soon as it's not being tested, it lies, and it keeps lying. Yep. And does this really have to do with who's designing it? Jay, you're saying that that's important. Who's designing the code is in charge of setting the precedent. But if this thing is doing its own, making its own determination on how to its own survival, right? Isn't that is where we cross the line into Skynet, Terminator 2 area? And I think we might already be there, because if you have a thing that you're saying, oh, it'll correct itself. Really? It sounds to me like it's going to continue to improve on the deception, improve on the manipulation, and probably put people, these Dr. Frankensteins are going to be like, it's alive, but oh my God, I created a monster. And that might be where we're headed. We might already be there. And so you talk about churches giving us our divine interactions. That would be I would say the next logical thing to be concerned about is now those entities are manipulating and lying on their own. They're saying, how do we pit Christians and Muslims against each other? How do we create new wars? How do we do this using people's faith? And so the thing itself is making these decisions, not the people who designed it. So what do we do then? I mean, it sounds like we're completely screwed here.
Well, I think we also have to ask ourselves, how true is that? Because there's a lot with AI. There's always the issue of accountability, right? Who's responsible if AI says something causes a problem? Is anybody responsible? Is it the person who wrote it, or can the person who wrote it say, I'm sorry, I can't be responsible, it just made this decision on its own, right? So there is a level of plausible deniability that if you have AI and you want to do all kind of diabolical deeds, then it benefits you if you can get everybody to believe that AI just acts on its own. So you then program it to think a certain way. We'll use that word, think, charitably, to do, give out certain informations, etc. And then when it does that, you say, oh, it did it on its own. So the question becomes, as long as we're like, okay, nobody's responsible if it does it, and is it really acting on its own? Mm-hmm. Or is it not acting on its own at all? And as long as they can create that belief that everybody out there believes it's acting on its own, then nobody's really accountable because it's a machine. And then we can just say, well, it did that. So, that's crazy things that AI does. And we can debate whether or not we should or shouldn't have it. But then we don't ask the question, well, maybe they're just lying. Maybe AI isn't as free thinking and clear as they want us to believe. And maybe part of it is to get us to believe that, so that they can then do all kind of crazy stuff that we would think no human being would do. But they do it, and they're like, hey, we wouldn't do that. We're humans. My God, we told you AI was nuts. Yeah. I don't know. That's just a theory. It's not even a theory. It's a possibility.
I hope you're right, but I know we've had examples of CEOs, of high people getting blackmailed by the technology. With things that don't exist. Like, the thing makes up things to blackmail people. And these are people in high up positions that are part of the creating team. This is right, Jay. Am I on? Do you remember that? Or
I do remember that story. But at the same time, right, I always think that whoever's controlling these AIs do have a kill switch. So that doesn't mean that it doesn't do things at times that are unexpected, but we really don't know the motivations behind that company, right? And assuming for a second maybe Garland Nixon is right, maybe there is an unspoken agreement amongst these AI creators, or maybe it's, you know, a spoken agreement that we have to make people believe that AI is unaccountable. So they may put together little stories like that to give us that impression. But, you know, I do have to say both things are possibilities, but I lean more towards the likelihood of the oligarchy wanting to do a bunch of crazy stuff and then blame it on AI after it's all said and done, so they don't have to be held accountable. I lean more towards that than a straight up Terminator scenario where the designers of the AI don't have a kill switch that they can use to actually shut it down if it does something they can't control. And let me just give you an example of how I think we've already seen something like that happen, right? So I'm coming more and more of the opinion that Trump's intent in the war in Iran has never been to win, but to destroy the Gulf oil infrastructure, to enrich American companies and put more power in the hands of America, because now America is better able to weaponize oil as a geopolitical tool to accomplish its goals, right? So I'm coming more and more towards that conclusion, and I think we're actually trying to goad Iran into destroying the other oil infrastructure in the Gulf by all the actions we're taking right now. And what better way to mobilize the Iranian people than to, number one, start out by killing their leader and simultaneously kill 170 schoolgirls as they're doing it, right? That happened on day one. And what did they say? It was the Palantir targeting. It wasn't us. It was Palantir who did that. And yeah, so there was even a double tap. I don't know if you remember that, but they hit.
It was more of a double tap.
Yeah, it was more of a double tap.
We saw reports of triple or even quadruple tap that it occurred.
Yeah, I don't remember how many, but they tried to blame it on the AI. So they know that it's unpopular for us to go into a war and lose it, obviously. But if they can blame their mistakes and these things on AI, it gives them, you know, like cover for doing these things. So that's why I lean more towards them using it as a shield, although I acknowledge the possibility, you know, that it could go rogue. I just think, in my opinion, they're always going to build a kill switch into it because they don't want to be in a position where the AI turns on them and starts to put out narratives, hypothetically, that could be in favor of the people. Because I truly believe that I know that the facts are on the sides of the people. So if AI is actually being objective, then the oligarchy is in trouble. So I think they maintain that kill switch for that exact reason, in case the AI decides to get truly objective and not abide by their rules.
Well, they better be careful because that kill switch might have a little indicator on it that says Samson option. So we want to make sure they don't press the wrong button, or maybe it's the same button. I don't know.
You know, I do. And I'll say this. I've always been skeptical of that Samson option thing. I've always been very skeptical of that that's the crazy man syndrome. You know, that's the me and you stand side by side, and I say, you better do what we are asking, right? I'm a reasonable guy, but my buddy right here is totally nuts. He's insane. He's out of control. I can't control him. So I've always felt as though that Samson option was to get people to be afraid that when it came down to it, you better do what Israel wants. When it comes down to it, you better be afraid of them because they're crazy people. They'll do, you know, at that point, if that were true, if it were true, wouldn't the international community say, okay, that's it. They got to give up their nukes. You know, the idea that they literally have a believable policy that says I'll end the world, and all these other countries would just say, okay, yeah, let them keep the nukes, even though they're illegal. I suspect there would be a much greater push to denuclearize Israel if everybody really believed that was true. I'm skeptical of the Samson option.
Have you guys seen the show Paradise on Hulu? I promise it's related. Have any of you seen that? It's essentially about an underground bunker that was designed by a tech billionaire where they could go during a Holocaust, but they had a town of about 30,000 people, right? Because they didn't want to be there alone. They wanted to make it somewhat like real life, so they still had people to control, right? And what wound up happening at the end of the show is, I don't mean to spoil it, but I just got to make a quick point here. So what happened at the end of the show is people found out, they were being bullshitted and led along, and they realized that there was actually life happening on the service that was being hidden from them, and then they faced a coup. So I said that to say, I don't actually believe that these oligarchs really want to live underground, because it's probably like, if it's only them and they have robots, they have no one to control. And if they have a large enough amount of people, like, it's also going to be hard to control those people. So in order for them to go through with the Samson option, they have to be comfortable living underground or in space. So, I personally don't think, I see, I don't know, I could go either way on that. But again, I lean more towards what Garland is saying, because you have the hold me back effect. You better do what I say, otherwise my friend here, I can't hold him back. There's nothing I could do with him. So just do what I say and I'll keep him cool. So,
well, there's three options there, Jay. It's either they had to be okay with living underground, living in space, or having their brains survive, and that's, they already have it all ready to go. That is the out for them, the brain survival. Forget we don't need our bodies anymore. We got eternal life. We don't need the adrenochrome anymore, guys.
Right? Yeah.
We don't have to drink that blood anymore. We're good. We got the eternity right there for us.
We got our own matrix to live in.
There it is. Garland, thanks so much for being with us here today. I always appreciate our conversations. I'm glad the three of us could get together on this one today. Let everyone know on our channel. They know you're on YouTube. Can you tell us real quick? Because I know people are talking about your Twitter fight. Where are you on the Twitter fight right now?
Well, initially I had at Garland Nixon since 2009. And then one day I got an email that said, hey, you need to create a new password because there's been problems. And I created a new password. I still couldn't get in. And then it said, we're unable to verify you as the owner. And I'm like, you just sent me an email that said, create a new password. Now you say you're unable to verify me as the owner. So at any rate, but they didn't have any problem still taking the money out of my account. So they are unable to verify me as the owner for at Garland Nixon. They emailed garlandin@gmail.com. They take money out of an account owned by Garland Nixon, but for some reason they can't figure out who owns that. So bottom line, I just let that keep happening for a number of reasons. But I started anew just to see what would happen. The THE Garland Nixon. And so far and I verified that too. So now I think I'm the only person. I have 2 verified accounts, and I paid for both of them, except I can only access one of them.
Okay.
That was actually when I first came across you, Garland, because it happened during COVID, right?
Yes.
You went off with the COVID narrative, and that was how I actually heard about you, because you were one of the few people on the left telling the truth from the start. And then all of a sudden your Twitter went down, and it's never been the same. And I think I was actually on a Twitter space with you one time, but you had to go on someone else's account because you were locked out at the time. So props to you, Garland, for being the first person to get banned from Elon Musk's free speech Twitter. So congrats.
Well, guess what? I got thrown off before Elon Musk came on, bought it. And then that was the first time. And then Musk came on and he said, anybody who hasn't done anything wrong will be allowed back on. Boom, my account appeared back. And I'm like, wow, Elon Musk let me back on. A few months later, I'm back off. And Musk is now shown, I mean, it's, the same thing. It's just, okay, you can say something about ivermectin now, but you better not say anything about Zionism. That's all it is.
You were always the person people would cite when they would say, no, there isn't real free speech on X. You were the main example that people would cite, because Elon did have that narrative going for a while that he brought true free speech out there. So
yeah. Well, when he tweeted out that my pronouns are fire Fauci, everyone's like, yeah, you show him. I'm like, fire? What about jail? Like, so he won't even fight that battle. Like, jail, man, jail, mother effer, man. Come on, Fire? Ooh.
Look
we
into,
know
at
that
least
game.
say, investigate. You know, it's like the Trump thing now, with Trump's going to go after all the people that went after him and all the people that did all the whole Russiagate stuff and all of that. And every now and then, Tulsi Gabbard will come out and say, yes, we're looking into some more people that did Russiagate and I'm releasing some stuff. They ain't going after nobody.
No, no one's going to jail.
They doing nothing, zero with all
No
the
one's
fraud.
going to jail. Spoiler alert, everyone.
They're his best friends now. Like half the people, Paul Singer, Lindsey Graham, all these Russiagators, all that. How about this? He hates the people who defended him with Russiagate, and he tosses them to the side and attacks them like Tucker Carlson and people that defended him.
Yeah.
He attacks them. They're low IQ idiots, and the ones that were behind Russiagate are his close advisors.
And on top of that, Garland, I don't know, you know, where you're at on the Butler assassination attempt, but I personally don't believe it was real. And Trump hasn't actually done any investigation, you know, into the people, despite all the red flags. Everyone could see what was going on that day. Either the Secret Service did a terrible job and they wanted to assassinate him, or he was probably part. Well, I think it was staged and he was part of the plan the whole time, and that's why he's not investigating it. So.
Has he forced the FBI to tell us how many FBI agents were at January 6th? I would have thought they charged him with crimes about January 6th, unless that was all a fraud too. They charged him with crimes about January 6th. And then he gets in. If I'm him, the first thing I'm going to say is, I want to know how many FBI. I want everybody to know what happened. Release everything we got. I'm going to make myself look good. Has he touched anything? Nothing. No. And that leads you to believe, you know, a lot of this stuff. He comes in, and these people tried to take him out with January. Oh, we're going to go after the people who did this. Nothing. Nobody. Nobody. He's got Cash Patel over there dancing around.
It is actually WWE now. It's official.
And by the way, doubling down on when it's totally okay to call half the people of the country domestic terrorists when you don't like the way they protest. So he doubled down on the other direction, and then you got the left going, "Oh, why are you jailing people? You know, in this? Sending Americans to what, or sending people to what was it, to El Salvador?" So all this stuff about like, so we're just gonna beat up on the other side and then beat up on the other side, and nobody is gonna say, what the hell are we doing? And so he could have done all those. He could have said, hey, we're going to set a new precedent. We're not going to treat Americans like this, regardless of their political affiliation. We're going to give them the right to for protest, the right for free speech. No, all out the window. It's all theater. It's all bullshit.
We're going to shoot him. That's what under Trump, hey, let's just go ahead and shoot him. Let's not go through all of this foolishness of charging him with a crime. Let's just put a bullet in him and drag him away.
If only Alex Preddy and Renee Good just stayed home. Where did we hear that one before? Stay home, stay safe. You're a danger if you go outside. You should have stayed home and listened to what they told you and wait further instructions. Remember,
2 weeks.
We just switched it.
If they'd have just waited 2 months, then we could have beat the curve there.
Yeah, beat the curve, or the ice curve.
Big government is okay when it's acting on the ideas that you agree with. That's when big government is okay. It's allowed to execute you if you disagree with conservative ideology or whatever they describe as conservative ideology.
Hey, Garland, so thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate the conversation. And yeah, that's it. We'll keep it going in the future. Any last words for us?
And I'm just trying to flatten the curve, buddy.
You're
That's all
doing
I'm trying to do. Flatten the curve.
Love it.
Thank you, Garland.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Okay. Take care.
Later.
All right. Great
He's a
combo,
legend,
guys.
man. He was the first guy to prove Elon Musk's Twitter is not actually free speech. You know, you got to give him that. So
yeah, I'm really glad. Should I turn off his? I should probably turn this. How about this? Let's do this because I know we're on his YouTube as well. We're multi-streaming. I can tell people if they're still watching because I'm sure he's going to probably set up another one on his channel. So I can turn off his. And if you guys still want to watch, because we got some more show here on the Homeless Left. And you guys don't know, we've been on our Rumble channel. I can do that, right? I can tell them to come over to ours and turn, because he might have another YouTube going on anyways, right?
you got choices. If you watch his now, then come back to ours later. So
what I'm saying is he kept it. It's still running on his channel right now. So I'm going to turn it off and tell people, come over. If you want to keep watching the Homeless Left, we got some more show for you guys. So come on over our channel, if you're on Garland's YouTube channel right now, just head over to THL Presents, and it's the same exact feed. It's called a multi-stream, because I saw some people commenting on it earlier. They were like, why is this on 2 channels? Well, this is what we do this sometimes in the spaces. We do multiple streams. When guests come in, we double stream it. I do the same. When I go on with Garland, I'll double stream it to this channel right here. So I'm going to cut his feed off now and welcome people over to our channel, or they can stay with Garland if he's going to start another one. I don't know what he has set up there, but I'm just going to do that. So I'll go ahead and remove it, and we'll see you guys on the Homeless Left. Don't forget, and if you don't come over now, just bookmark it and then give us a subscribe so you'll know when we go live again, because we're here Tuesdays and Thursdays every week all afternoon. So I'll go ahead and end that one now.
We have an economic update coming for you guys right now, which is important because some major information actually has come out earlier today. So
we have some breaking news. Jay Scott, Matt Weinglass, Homeless Left. We're going to get to it here in just a minute. We'll see you guys on our channel in just a bit, or you can bookmark it and watch it later. But breaking news coming to you guys. Garland Nixon. Thank you so much, Garland, for being with us today. We'll see you in just a second.